Good morning, everybody. Cheers. I've got a cup of tea this morning. Mm, standard, standard black tea with milk, but you know what I mean? No Earl Grey shenanigans or anything like that. I hope you're all well. Mm, freezing cold here today. Um, got the heater on, not helping much at the moment, but if I turn it up anymore, you'll all hear the rumble in the background. So, how have you all been? What are all these things next to people's names in my chat? A little party hat with a number. That is new. Moo, a cup of tea. Yeah, I'm just drinking tea this morning. I don't know why. Felt like a cup of tea instead of coffee. So, yeah. Yummy, yummy. I like tea. I just forget to drink it a lot. I don't know. It's not quite the same kick as coffee, but yeah. So I missed out last week. I had an unexpected tooth yanked out of my mouth on the Tuesday morning. Went in for a regular checkup to my dentist.
HMS says community leaderboard on chats posted.
Community leaderboard on chats posted. What do you mean by posted? Okay, but like I can see Alan
Hartman
Madsen.
says invisible confusion.
Yeah, like Alan's on. Right. So it'll go up the more people are chatting. Is that just a YouTube game thing? Is it? So people are just going to post stuff just for the sake of posting stuff. Yeah, the more you post, the more noise you put in the chat, the higher your thing. Okay, great. Anyway, so I went to the dentist for a regular checkup, and I had a back tooth that we'd been monitoring for a while. There was a cavity or something, that there was a defect or something inside the tooth, and it was really close to the nerve. And like they told me like a year and a half ago that, you know, they're probably going to have to do a root canal on it or rip the tooth out. It's the very, very back one at the top, right? So it hasn't been bothering me like at all. And like even on Tuesday morning, like he said to me, look, we're going to take another X-ray to have a look. And he had another look, and he goes, look, we really need to, you know, at least try to do a filling. But most likely, if we do a filling, it's going to, we have to like open the tooth up to do a filling, and it's really close to the nerve, so you might end up with a root canal. And I kept saying to him, it doesn't bother me. Like I've got no pain, I've got no sensitivity from it or anything. And he kept saying to me that, you know, sure, but once it starts getting sore, it'll rapidly go to insufferable, and it'll be much harder to get it out or fix it once it's, you know, once you're really suffering from it. I went, okay. And so what's interesting is on this side of my mouth. This is all too much information for everyone. Whatever. I'd already had the bottom tooth taken out 3 years ago with exactly the same problem. It's like a, you know, I didn't know what it was then, and they still can't really explain why. But there was just like a dark patch inside the tooth, really close to the thing. Anyway, so on my bottom one, they tried doing a filling. This is at a different dentist. They tried doing a filling for it, which was excruciating. And then for a week afterwards, I was in absolute pain. I couldn't chew, I couldn't close my mouth, I couldn't do anything. And they'd obviously hit the nerve or done something like really close to the root and had damaged the tooth. And so all that was left was to get it ripped out. So I had it ripped out, but I still had trauma from that whole thing. This is years and years ago, right? Absolute trauma from it. So I've been avoiding doing anything with the top one. But the fact is, the top one didn't do anything because there was no bottom tooth. So like I couldn't chew on it, couldn't do anything. It was a pointless tooth in my mouth. Anyway, so like he said to me on Tuesday, I just went for a checkup, and he goes, "Yeah, we're gonna have to do something at some point." And I went, "Okay, pull it." And so he pulled the tooth out on the chair Tuesday morning, unexpected, wasn't prepared for it. And wasn't really in a state to talk, or I wasn't allowed to talk or anything for a couple of days. Wasn't really allowed to use my jaw, whatever. So, yeah, that's why there was no stream last week. Unexpectedly, no stream last week. Was that just too much information for everyone? I think that was too much information for everyone. Anyway, so now I have, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I use an electric toothbrush, and I keep forgetting that whatever. So I'll go to brush, and like it's still, it takes months for it to heal properly, and I keep going bang and putting the electric toothbrush right into the thing. What? Bitlooney managed to poke himself in the eye with a stick. What was he doing? Was he trying to juggle a stick? Oh, poor Looney. That's crazy. Oh, I mean, I didn't do this to myself. But anyway, well, it's self-inflicted when I told him to pull the tooth. Yeah. He was gardening. Jesus. Yeah, no, it's I can brush it fine when I remember to be careful. But I'm like this morning, I'm just in, it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm brushing my teeth. One eye open, sorry, one eye closed and one eye only half open, kind of still pretending to be asleep in my head. So I'm just, like, I forgot. It happens. Whatever. Whatever. So, for those that actually read inside my description of my stream today, I'm taking a break from SQUIXL by working on SQUIXL. It feels like SQUIXL's been all consuming for me, but I'm about to pivot to some other stuff. So there's a bunch of things that I've been wanting to do. I'm going to keep working on it, obviously, but so I pushed a new update out yesterday, a really cool update to the official firmware. For those that haven't updated, go to the update page, which is https://squixl.io/up. SQUIXL, there we go. That's the upload. That's the web installer. And it's some really cool features. And I can't even show you them right now because I've got something else running on my SQUIXL. I will flash the official firmware on it to show you the cool stuff I've been working on. This is pretty cool. But I started a while ago playing with putting together just a really basic 3D engine. Like I just wanted to be able to render a wireframe mesh on the SQUIXL. That was all I wanted to do, right? Wow, what have I done? So there's artifacts on the screen now. Oh, and wrapping. Oh, right. That's just the sprite. Okay. Anyway, it started off with I just put some really basic vector, a 3-point vector and drawing some basic things, and it was boring. So I thought, I should, add a camera so I could like move the camera, and I should, maybe I should have multiple meshes. So I need some type of scene that I can add them to. And I was just plodding away, blowing away, and it was just, again, it was like, whatever, And then I thought, it'd really be cool if, made them, the meshes filled, like, if they had faces, they had polygons, right? So I started adding those, and then, of course, the whole, well, you can't really add them unless you got some form of back face culling, right? So I started working on that, and I couldn't get it working. It was like working sometimes, but it was flicking back and forwards and all sorts of stuff. So I thought, oh, here we go. Fine, I'll ask ChatGPT, how do I fix this flickering with back face culling? And, the next thing I knew, shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have gone down this path. Should not have gone down this path, right? But the next thing I knew, I had, oh, where's my thing gone? I had multiple meshes. I had different types of meshes, like cubes and boxes. There's a pyramid. That's just a triangle and it's double-sided faces. I had back face culling. I had shadings. I had normals. So then I've got point lights. There's actually 2 point lights in there, a white one and a red one. And then, believe it or not, I went all the way down the path of a tile-based Z buffer, but I went from like 10 frames a second down to like 3 frames a second. It looked pretty cool, right? It wasn't quite per pixel, but it, whatever. So like the point is there's 4 different meshes, 5 meshes on there, and I can select whether it's wireframe or like filled or both. There's a few issues, my shading issues, and I think I've got the winding on the box on one of the faces. The winding is still the wrong way around. Real pain in the ass, right? Let me go to the code. So this is just, I hacked the SQUIXL project, just the main firmware. So there's lots of stuff commented out, and it's just, I needed a base plate to get things going on. Yeah, I mean, BitLooney's stuff's calculating frame, like, actual renders. This is different. This is like real time rendering of meshes. But anyway, so I've got there's an engine folder, right? So I've got a camera class, lights class, mesh loader, which we'll get to. So there's a mesh class, a renderer class, a scene class, right? And so like with the mesh class, there I've got some basic primitives, right? There's a triangle, there's a pyramid, there's a cube and a box. A cube is everything's the same size. Cube and box could be the same. A box is just a 1, 1, 1. A multi. Oh my god, different scale. Oh, I'm struggling. Wow, get it out, Seon. And then the main mesh class is really just a way to rotate them. And I've tried to do rotation, like I have to use floats and I have to use sine and cosine. I tried getting it working. I tried and it failed. And
Alan Madsen says, since you said you wouldn't code on a live stream, you've now coded 132 times.
I haven't coded today yet. Careful what you accuse me of. I haven't coded today yet. So I might not, just to wreck your wreck your stats. I tried doing a integer-based lookup table. Excuse me, trig. Sorry. Couldn't get it working. ChatGPT tried to do it. Made an absolute mess of it.
Alan Madsen says then it will be 133 times.
Okay.
Slightly smiling face.
Okay. Well, I'm a liar. What can I tell you? So anyway, I couldn't get it in any, like, this is the best I could do. I haven't played with scale yet. I've got ability to scale, and then the ability to move them as well, right? So basically, though, if I go back to main, you just create. I don't know why I gave them names. You create your primitive plus. Yeah. Anyway, you create your primitive. We'll get to imported mesh in a moment. Create a reference to a scene, camera, and a renderer. I'm releasing this. I'm like, obviously it's not in a great state right now. Usable. Anyway, so you add the meshes to a scene. You can have multiple scenes, and you can tell the renderer which scene to render, right? And so here I can set it to, so my cube will be solid, true, wireframe, false. That's the white cube in the middle, which isn't spinning, which I forgot to make spinning again. You can set its position, obviously at real time. You can move it, but I'm just setting them to the side so you can see them. These are point lights, which I need to put a helper in. I need to see where the lights are with a line or something too. I think I've got my maths back to front. And in the loop, I'm just telling it to, I'm telling them to rotate. So they're all rotated on this. They've all got their own pivot points and you can set the pivot for each item separately, which means you can do, like, I want to be able to do compound objects. So this is parented to this, and this is its pivot point, so it moves whatever, right? For no other purpose than I'm an idiot. So you just tell it to render the scene and the camera. And the camera can be moved and whatever. So I've just added, I haven't done anything with it yet, I've just added touch. So you can see here, if I touch the screen, it just prints where I'm touching. So the idea is I could maybe move the camera, like orbit the camera or something. So yeah, like, I'm just going to get that cube spinning. Just going to reflash it. Oh, I coded. I coded, everyone. Shoot me now. So I'm sure there's room for optimization. And so with the renderer, I've there's a whole bunch of bools that I've set up. So you can turn on and off backface culling, face sorting, the lighting, and the face shading. Okay, so now the center one's spinning as well. So you can see that each triangle on a face is being lit slightly differently, and I'm not quite sure why. And there's like occasional flicker. So a lot of the frame time, actually.
Rick the Almighty says admit it. You love coding.
I like coding when I'm achieving something cool. And I like getting great results out of coding. I mean, coding on stream can be frustrating for you, everyone, and me. I find it much harder to code on stream when someone's looking at me, watching me, what I'm doing. I really struggle with my coding. But not just coding, just any type of writing or anything that I do. I just, suddenly my fingers stop working properly and I hit the wrong keys and whatever. It's kind of weird. So, I mean, there's a lot of pixels on that screen. There's 480 by 480 pixels. And I have to clear the screen each time, right? So, just as an example, right, and there's a weirdness with Larry's library. I pinged him about it, but I haven't heard back. If you tell it to just fill the screen with a color, it's actually really, really slow. It's much quicker to tell it to draw a sprite. Sorry, tell it to fill a rect. So if I do a fill rect on the screen, that is like 3 milliseconds. And if I tell it to fill the screen with black, it's 35 milliseconds. Yeah. So Which method am I using for lines? B-line. What? What do you mean by which method am I using for the lines? To draw them? I'm just calling draw line. I don't know what you mean. Like, it has a concept of edges. So a mesh has verts, edges, and faces, right? So I don't know what you mean by method for the lines. Edges are there just so I could do wireframe. Right. What I wanted to do was, so if I turn off just this filling, so it's going to obviously draw over itself. We should get some pretty much better frame rate. Actually, no. Well, with the fill rective, maybe it won't be that much faster. So to improve that, I started working on a way for a mesh to be able to undraw itself. Right, but then I need a scene graph with, not only do I need per mesh internal culling and sorting, but I need scene sorting, because I can't have a mesh that's in front blank itself after the mesh at the back has, or they all have to blank themselves. So look at that, straight up to like 14 to 16. Because, so that drawing the rect is taking, you know, quite a few frames per second. So I was trying to find a way to solve that. Looks pretty cool. Looks trippy. I was trying to find a way to solve that. Yikes, I focused on the cube wrong and it didn't look like a cube at all. Optical illusion. So I think there's some room for improvement, like in terms of performance, but at the end of the day, ESP32S3, all of this out of PSRAM, which is much slower than, even with the octal PSRAM, it's much slower than SRAM, but SRAM, there's not enough SRAM at all, not even for a single buffer. So 480 by 480 pixels at 565 color space, you know, to get 10 frames a second, and the frame rate doesn't change much as I'm adding more items. Well, it's the shading, right? It's, so if I'm trying to think what's the easiest way to check the, if I just get rid of the lights, maybe. Oops. Well, if I just get rid of the red light. So the challenge is getting things. Oh, right. That's a whole different conversation. So on the screenshot, I'm about to show you. On the screenshot on my thumbnail, I had a like a chest piece on here. I'll show you that in a moment. That's when the frame rate really goes down, but you'll see why. So I've got a binary STL loader. It's funny. I wrote a ASCII STL loader, and then couldn't find any ASCII STLs anywhere on the internet. and I couldn't write the binary one. So I gave ChatGPT my ASCII one and said, can you make this a binary one? And 3 seconds later, I had a binary importer. I gotta say, I fight with ChatGPT a lot. So what do I do? So that doesn't really change anything. I mean, you can see that the white cube in the middle is less pink because the red light's turned off and things are a bit darker. It's definitely a redraw caching issue or something, because there's a white line that flickers sometimes. Anyway, so I've got STL loading, binary STL loading. I didn't get around to doing OBJs or anything else. STL's, I guess, fairly cool. The only problem with STL is there's no real size info in it. So, like, you don't really understand, like, you can't tell from the header how big it is, what scale it is, or anything. There's no, like, units or anything with an STL. So it's got to be scaled on the fly. Okay, so I'm just going to show you this other one. So I've got a load STL binary. So this is sitting on in LittleFS partition. I managed to get it onto LittleFS partition. It took me about 100 attempts to get it there. And so I have a solution for that. For some reason, that LittleFS CLI thing I'm using of Larry's sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So should I delete that other light? Oh no, for some reason put it all the way over there. Actually, I'll leave it off for the moment. So I'm going to just comment out all of these. I don't want to add all these. I just want to add the chest piece. And have it rotate. Bresnel line algorithm known to make everything crawl. It's in. Oh, okay. Internally, I don't know what Larry's doing with his line. Larry's normally pretty good at writing, uber optimized things. Yeah, I'm just using his library. I have to use his library for pushing stuff to display, unless I want to manage, because you remember these screens don't have a frame buffer of their own. So getting data onto them is much more complicated than just doing SPI communications to a frame buffer. Okay, so as you can see here, so that's the chest piece. That's like 5 frames a second. And it can do some weird things. Hard to know if it's artifacts from the import or whatever, like at the top. So this has a stack of mesh in it. So if I go to the file and I say wireframe is true and solid is false, but you can see it's shaded, like it might be blowing out a bit on the camera. Can you see, like it's shaded like from a light source? Yeah, you can see there. See there's weirdness sticking out. There's a lot of faces on this. I've got a way of getting the stats, but I haven't finished implementing it. Where's my get stat? I don't know if I don't think I'm using this yet. Yeah, no. Yeah, I haven't started counting, but I want to have a way to be able to show how many verts and things. What have I got? Verts, edges, faces. Yeah, verts, edges, and faces. So it'll add them all up per frame and then display them on the screen. But I haven't got that going yet. But you'll see this has got a stack. This is it's a 400K file. It was the smallest file I could find. There was actually the one I wanted to put on there for some reason. I just couldn't write it to LittleFS. So I've exported my logo and it's on the SD card on there, but I haven't added any code to load it. But I want to see if I can get my SQUIXL logo spinning around. I just made it in Fusion 360. It's funny, I used to use Lightwave, Softimage, or XSI, Modo, all those things back in my game dev days, and now if I want to put a mesh together, I just go to Fusion 360. So it takes a while to load it. This 400K has got to pass, but look at that. I mean, you can see how much slower that is. Much faster to do faces. Hello, Sean Modo. Yeah, there's a lot of triangles, as you can see. Pretty crazy. So, yeah. Need to I don't know how many, but it's way too many. It's way too many, totally unnecessary. It's for it's a print, right? And it's I don't know if you can see from just here, but there's a lot more detail on it than just three spheres stacked with a base. Like it's got this twisty, curvy thing going around it, which is just adding stacks of mesh that I don't need, right? But as a proof of concept, it's working. Mr. England wanted me to get a one of the ships from God, I keep thinking Descent now. I want to get the Descent ship spinning, but from oh, help me out, Mr. England. Had a mental blank. Remember on the BBC, the Elite, the ship from Elite. That's what you were saying, wasn't it? I think. Anyway, so if I had a week spare, if I had a day spare, if I had an hour spare, if I had a week spare, like I could see myself trying to put together a base like a timeline so you can do some animation and like maybe some dynamic building of stuff. I tried doing a basic, like a really basic, like a decimate, like a way to reduce the triangle count. And it's really easy to reduce the vert count, right? By averaging. But then working out what faces need to be fixed and rewound and then winding them the right way, yeah, forget it. I can't even get the winding of a cube. Like we're talking about 2 triangles per side, and I can't get the winding correct on it to make sure that the normals are facing the right way. Really, I shouldn't be doing this type of stuff. And so I sent a picture to a mate of mine, Andre, who he's still in game dev, but like we were in game dev together. We used to work together. And I sent him a picture of this, and he goes to me, "You're never going to get out, are you, Seon? You just you're forever going to be playing with 3D and engines and whatever." And I thought, this is kind of enjoyable. Like I don't know, I mean, it's very different to me working on Reflow Master Pro firmware or whatever. So have we seen enough of this? I'm not going to bother with my logo. I want to go to show my other firmware, or is there anything else? Talk about I should see if I can get my logo going. Okay, hang on. I did all that work to export it. I need to do a
Alan Madsen says it looks great.
Thank you. The 3 frames a second isn't a great showcase. I'm going to call that load SDL little fs. I'm just changing the name. And so I'm going to do an SD card version so I can load a file from the SD card. Okay, so SD load. And it's pretty much going to be the same. I'm just going to duplicate the code for now. I can clean it up later.
Alan Madsen says it clearly shows how powerful the S3 is.
Yeah, it is powerful. And again, a lot of the slowness has nothing to do with that. It's just to do with the number of pixels and the way I have to write into the PSRAM and the screen's pulling it out of PSRAM and there's contention all the time, right? And so I have to run this. Actually, I can run this faster. This is only running at like 6 megahertz. Just give me a moment and I will need to include. Ooh, my bin's being picked up. SD. I don't know if that's going to work just like that. Might be that simple. And then I need to, a few things I need to do. Because remember the audio page. James! Hello, James. Look at the stupidity Seon's doing. You get a kick out of this. I'm forever stuck in game engine or 3D engine land. I was just talking about showing Andre Naden what I was working on, and him laughing at me that I'm forever stuck in doing this stuff. SD load, it's called a logo, but I need to tell it. So remember the SD card and the audio is on the same pins. So I need to use the IO mux set to. I did. I'm actually halfway through watching 3 of your videos at the moment. I can't get any of them finished, but I'm watching new ones. Frustrating. And I need to make sure I've got nothing else calling it. Nope. Okay. So let's see if this works. Let's see if it actually grabs the file off the SD card. So I've started working on a web-based file manager for the LittleFS petition on the device for the SQUIXL firmware. I haven't shown any of it yet. And that way you can just literally, like a file manager interface. Oh, baby! Except I didn't make it thing again. Why is it? What's with the mesh on the round bits? Look at the extra mesh on the round bit. Whoa, okay, anyway. There's a lot of wireframe in there, but let me put it back to solid. Yeah, I'm going to make it filled. Hang on. So I can just, oh, wait, can't see what I'm doing. So here, I can just say, oh, true and false. I'm going to turn the other light on. So that's only, oh, we'll start with just the one light. But yeah, I've gone a bit full on, James. I've got multiple scenes, you get multiple cameras, and you can tell the renderer which scene and camera, and you can obviously move the cameras around, and then you can have multiple meshes. I've got backface culling, sorting, per face shading, and I started playing with a tile-based Z buffer, and I went from 9 frames a second to 3 frames a second. It looked pretty cool, but oh, okay. Yeah, I've got, there's obviously something wrong with some of those are wound wrong. So that's not great. Again, okay, there's something wrong with my importer. Damn. So that's why I was seeing those funny things on the pawn. Either that or that's tearing. That just could be tearing. Hard to tell. Looks like your 3D prints. Hey, Steve. So I'm going to put the other light on. So I've got a, so there's a white light to the left, and then I've a red one to the right and at the back. Actually, I might make it blue. Yeah, that's a bit slow. I mean, that mesh, that again needs to be heavily optimized. I wonder if I can in Fusion, it's probably set to a really high mesh density. Save mesh as one file, export, refinement settings, refinement medium, surface deviation, normal deviation, ratio. Oh, I can set it to low tessellation. Interesting. As you can see now, it's got a bit of blue shading. Maybe that's harder to see than the red, if I would have left red.
Alan Madsen says then it can soon play Doom.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. And I'm doing all this at 480 by 480, right? I could be rendering everything at 240 by 240, and then just when I draw it, I could scale it up, right? So
HMS says new Elite first. D.
I'm happy for someone else to port. I don't have time to port a game, honestly. This was more for shits and giggles, I think. But I want to can't remember. I want to see if I can move the camera real time when I'm if I touch left up and down, zoom in and out. Where's my camera? I can't remember. I've set my camera to start with. Is it -5? Yeah, -5. Okay, so I want to go be -y, but y is going to be way too big. Divided by, so 480.
HMS says swap screen Seon.
Oh my gosh, sorry. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Divided by 10 will give me negative. Well, okay, let's divide it by 7. But my touch rate, I think, is too fast. Okay, let's try this. So this should move between like -8 and 0. So if I move up, I should be able to zoom right into the thing, and then if I move finger down, it should move the camera further back. And then I'm going to stop. I'm not going to do anything on that. So I don't know at what point I'm going to push this live. It's you know, or maybe I'll just mark it as experimental and push it live so other people can play with it. They can fix my maths and my winding and whatever, improve my code. Okay, so I should be able to No. Wait. I'm using my camera position, right? Please tell me I'm using. Oh, right. Oh, you got to be kidding me. At some point, I didn't finish. Hang. Yeah. And why is it the other way around? Equals camera dot Z. And it needs to be. So I was setting it minus. Okay. That's interesting. Wow. Can't I do? Really? I just make it a float. Just want to move the camera and then we're done. Oh, okay. That's going. Wait, did I just crash it? I said it too much. Oh, okay. Wow, that's not good. Let me fix that. Let me clamp it. This I'm getting 0.1 frames a second now. Yay. Okay, so let's go the other way around and constrain 7, comma, what do we want it to be? 2 between 2 and 10. I don't know. Two and 10. Cold tea, everyone. Okay, if this works, I'm just going to flash the other firmware back on so I can show you what cool stuff I've been doing. Okay. Oh, I forgot to set the negative in here. Wow. Don't code on stream, he says. So what else is new, everyone? Oh, wow, the current viewer number is dropping. People are not interested in me coding. They're not interested in 3D stuff on SQUIXL. Oh well. Oh well. 133 coding when I said I wasn't going to. I think that number's slightly inflated, but that's okay. I'll take it. Okay, now it's not moving at all. You know what? Oh. Did I crash it? I need to log the well, it can't please everyone every day. Tomorrow isn't looking good either. What have I done? I think it's where I'm touching. Yeah. I need to print the logs. You can see that there's definitely some issues with faces. Oh, and crash. Nice. Okay, I'm going to undo that. I'm gonna put this back. I'll fix it properly later. You hear people leaving, right? Okay. Let me. Is this? It is. Okay, I'm gonna. Oops, whoops. Silly Mac. I'm gonna flash this on it. Yeah, it is a hump day. Feels like hump day. I have a lot of pick and place set up to do today, which is a lot of standing in front of the pick and place machine, tweaking and checking and entering numbers and stuff. So trying to avoid that as much as I can. Flashy, flashy, go, baby.
Hello.
Hello. Zip, 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 zip. Yeah. So, what? I did not zap my settings. No, I did not zap them. Where are my settings, please? No! It found my wallpaper, so my settings should be there. Oh, no way. Did I stomp my settings from the other project? Did I forget to tell it to not save? I must have had a load, which then saved, and then killed my... Poo-poo sucks. Okay, I need to fix this. I need to set up the Wi-Fi to show you what I want to show you. Okay, it's doing that now.
HMS says computer says yes.
Computer says balked. Come on, phone. Connect to SQUIXL. Oh, my fingers are frozen. Scanning. I have the worst password that can be typed on a phone keyboard. Connect. And blip. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. I lost all my other settings, but at least I've got my Wi-Fi back and the time. So, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this with the camera in the way. I had someone come here the other day, and they were, I showed them the SQUiXL that hadn't seen anything about it before. They picked it up, and they started touching the screen, and it took them a few goes to work out how to swipe to the setting screen, or, you know, that you can swipe, because it wasn't a real-time move. And it really irked me watching him struggle. Like, once he got it, it was fine, and he could flick around or whatever. And he didn't comment about it, but I could see that it didn't feel intuitive to him. And so that night I went back and I rethought and rewrote the whole touch and everything. So the problem is the amount of memory and number of pixels that this screen's got to push around is just insane, right? Like, I've got 8 meg of octal PS RAM, and I'm constantly filling it. Like, I'm constantly running out, not just of space, but also of contiguous space, right? So, which is one of the reasons why I didn't do this to start with. But I've now got full interactive dragging, right? So you can let go, you can swipe, and it'll swipe. So I got full drag support, and now that I've got drag support, oh, you can't even read that. I've got, I'm now going to be working on draggable content. You can't even, that says on top MQTT messages. Camera blowout is insane. Anyway, so, like, for instance, I can scroll, if I touch here, I can scroll up and down, because it knows that this slider isn't draggable vertically. Excuse me. But I can go sideways, right? So I can drag sideways to set it. Here, if I drag sideways, it shows me that there's no screen to drag to, like it locks. But on here, it doesn't. So every UI element and widget now has to understand how it can be dragged, and if it can't, it then needs to determine that dragging is happening and pass it back to the screen. It was a really, really complicated thing to do. And then also have it not crash. So what this does now, this on the fly has to create and destroy all of the buffers that are used for all of the screens. So right now, the other screens, like the settings on top and the MQTT stuff, none of the sprites are live. They're all been destroyed because of how much memory they take, right? But as soon as I go like this to drag, it's got to create them and draw them so I can see what's there. Yeah, you can see the time's not changing. Maybe you can see the time's not changing because of the lighting. I had it real-time updating as well, and I can turn that back on, but I lose 2 or 3 frames a second when dragging, and the dragging doesn't feel as responsive. It took me ages to get it like this. But anyway, so this just got released yesterday in the new firmware. And a whole bunch of other stuff I've added as well, but I've got user wallpaper. So by default, this has some built-in wallpaper, and every time it boots, there's like 5 different ones, and it picks a random one each time. Did a similar thing. It's touchy code, pun intended. Yeah, it's the dragging stuff around is overly complicated for this because of the way I allow UI to layer, like with the transparent bits and stuff. Like that screen there has 4 full frame, full buffer, pixel buffers in PS RAM to be able to draw that screen, right? And to be able to update portions without the whole thing updating. It's really complicated, and I never expected to have to drag it around. Anyway, so I wanted to allow people to customize it. So what I did Well, the thing, the whole heap, I'm using all of the 8 megabytes of PS RAM, like all of it. So what I did, so I've updated the web. Let me go to here. So the SQUiXL, this is the web server that gets served from SQUiXL, right? It's always served. If your SQUiXL's on the internet, like if it's on Wi-Fi, this is running always, right? So you can do your basic settings in here. So like Wi-Fi and web settings, widget settings, so you don't have to do them on device. And I've added this wallpaper thing. And so right now it's just one wallpaper, but I want to be able to allow people to add and manage up to 5 different wallpapers, right? And they can make them cycle or whatever. And so this was like a couple of days of absolute pain to get going. But you can see here it's reading the little FS thing, right? 6.9 megabytes of storage. It used to be much bigger, but I've got the second OTA partition set up, so I can hopefully do OTA flashing with it in the future. So this has all come about because I was working on a file. Before I did this, I was working on a web-based file manager where you can, view what's on there. You can like download the settings file, you can upload stuff, you can delete stuff, whatever. I need to expand on that to be able to do multiple wallpapers, but basically this one's for Johnny, if Johnny's still watching. So I can just grab some pink wallpaper and upload that, and it automatically sets it and updates it, and that's the wallpaper. And so that's what's going to boot now. Although, did I have it changed to... Okay, it needs to change that. I need to make that automatically flag. Hello, Half Greek Geek. Oh, I didn't say hi to everyone in chat today. I'm sorry. I totally forgot. So, pink for Johnny. So, the hard part of this was I needed to prevent people from uploading things that aren't the right size, right? And things that are the right size, but the files are just too big. Right, maximum file size 200K. So you need to pre-process your image. It's got to be 480 by 480 because I don't want to have to do this on the fly. Like if someone uploads a massive file and I have to then rescale it on the device, I'm going to run out of memory, right? So yeah. Anyway, so that's there. You can put a custom. It's just nice. People can customize stuff. Anyway, so they're the cool things I added. There's a whole bunch more. Matt, Pro Engineer, was working on the RSS feeds. He's got all that working. I had to add this. So who would have thought that widgets? Wait, where's my... Oh, I didn't update the text boxes. Okay, bug. That's annoying. No. No. Guess I'm coding again. Oh, that should be drawing. Oh. It's not drawing the right thing. Son of a bitch. Oh my gosh. Oh well.
Alan Madsen says really cool product you've put together there. Looks really good.
Thanks, Alan. I'm spending a lot of time on the firmware because it is a really nice device to use. Like I want it to be a cool experience for people. Like I know some people are going to get them and want to develop their own stuff on them, but I'm curious to see if I can make a useful device that people just use as the SQUiXL with the, like there's other things I want to add, other things I want to do. There's a long list of them. Unfortunately, it's, everything I want to add is a lot of work. I can't believe I didn't check that before I pushed the update. Okay, they're back. Text boxes. So I had a problem where the text box was too long. The text was too long and it was wrapping. And even with the keyboard, it was wrapping. So it's now got dynamic text. So, see that? The text size changed. It went bigger. I'm not going to save it. I want to keep it. So it'll change the text size to fit in. It'll keep shrinking the text down.
Super
to fit it in.
chat.
Thanks, Johnny. And you can't even do it yet. Your SQUIXL's in customs. Have you spoken to customs? Maybe it's because of the battery. You need to check, find out why it's stuck there. I've had no problems with anyone getting their SQUIXL delivered, which is great. Although some people have had to wait a bit longer to go through customs. So hopefully they get sorted and you get it soon, Johnny, because that's really frustrating. Yours is was in the first batch that went out. Oh. Is there any more I busted? I have to push another update out. That's really annoying. Oh. No. And you can see, like, it takes a lot of computing power just to animate that. I'm working on making it faster. It feels like there's a bit of a delay, like it stalls before it goes. There's actually no code causing that. So, I think it's my easing code. I might get rid of my easing code and do a hard, half the value, half the value, half the value to get there. That's what I do when I let go. So if I go like this and let go, that's snap back. I need to get the transition the same speed. I'll work on that. I'll keep tweaking. I think I have an idea of how I can make that better. Oh, so there we go. Pinky SQUIXL. Oh, it's freezing in here. That's it. I'm out, folks. I've got nothing else to tell you, to talk about. I have a pile of PCBs that need to get loaded onto the pick and place machine. It's about an hour each board to get it ready that I can just hit go and it can go. So it's about 3 hours of standing on my feet at the pick and place machine in the freezing cold, and I can't use my gloves. I can't use my gloves, even though they've got the touch things on them, because it doesn't work properly on the screen on the pick and place machine, because I've still got the plastic over the top, which I refuse to move. So, yeah, downstairs, frozen fingers. I think it's coffee time, and, oh, excuse me. Oh, wow. A lot of early mornings. How's your pick and place? Any problems? No, it's working great. Unfortunately, now that we're into the cold weather, it makes it really hard for manufacturing. Like, I don't even have to put paste back in the fridge. It's that cold. So, getting paste up to temperature, like leaving it to room temperature, doesn't work. Because it's so cold. And then, so I've got a paste mixer, which helps. But if it's sitting on the stencil printer, in between squeegees, it gets cold again and gets hard again, and causes havoc with manufacturing. So, there's only a very narrow sweet spot, unless I could climate control the place, which I could for $100,000. But the problem is when it's too hot, the paste is too wet, and when it's too cold, the paste is too hard. and getting that sweet spot where the paste is perfect and stays perfect the whole time is only about twice a year for about 2 months. And the rest of the time is pasting issues. More, please wait a minute. Not in the version I have now. No. So the octal, it needs octal PSRAM, right? Because it's faster. So, and especially if you don't make a chip with octal PSRAM internally that's more than 8 megabytes, and there's not enough I/O to put external PSRAM. And if you're going to put external, then you're better putting external SRAM and make the buffer that the screen uses in SRAM, not in PSRAM. That would make the screen updates way faster. And because you don't have the contention of my code's putting stuff into PSRAM while the screen's trying to pull the stuff out of PSRAM, right? The screen would be pulling out of SRAM, and my code will be drawing stuff in PSRAM and then pushing that into SRAM. And SRAM's like way faster than PSRAM. But expensive, but SRAM, like, you know, we're talking about like a megabyte of SRAM, is horrifically expensive. And still needs a stack of I/O, which I don't have. So to answer the question, no. Can't get bigger PSRAM, and more PSRAM allows for maybe some more screens, but won't make things faster. If anything, it'll slow things down. The more stuff that goes into PSRAM that has to be managed in PSRAM, the slower everything becomes, because everything's fighting for PSRAM. And then on top of that, with the ESP32, with the S3, is because the peripheral is using the PSRAM, and PSRAM and flash are on the same SPI bus. So I can't read and write from flash while the screen is trying to refresh itself, or the screen gets, like, it shifts, right? It gets out of sync. And the only way to get them going together, like I've done on SQUiXL, is to slow the SPI bus right down. Which I wanted to try with the... Oh, no, that one. I'm going to flash this other code back on. I want to try something. Just want to make sure that I'm not going to stomp my settings this time. Yeah, probably those that I left on. Make sure settings is not being called anywhere else. No, good. Okay. I want to see if... So when this boots up, I push it down to... Oh, did I already do it? Oh, no, I didn't. Right. So I have to drop the frequency to... Oh, it was 6, but now it's 6.5 meg. If I make this higher, then anytime I read or write from flash, the screen goes boop, and then you get stuck in a wrong horizontal position. But I'm not reading and writing from flash here, so it defaults to 12 megabytes, 12 megahertz, 12 megahertz. So I want to see if this is faster. I want to put it back to the to this guy. So we were getting like 3.5 frames a second with the prawn. I want to see if we get faster with a faster SPI bus. Because I've got no real way of measuring it with the SQUiXL firmware, because anytime I increase the bus to try to see how much faster the screen is, it wrecks what the screen's doing because of the flash. Because the firmware is accessing flash all the time. So So what a SQUiXL V2 would need is a different processor. So either like a higher end STM32 that's got a megabyte of SRAM and like an RGB peripheral type thing with lots of I/O, or an ESP32 P4, right? So the P4 has, oh, that's in wireframe still. That looks faster though in wireframe. Let me fix that. So the ESP32 P4 has 16 and 32 megabytes of octal PSRAM. The P4 is a much bigger chip, like a die. They've got much more room in there. And so an ESP32 P4, which is also faster, would be able to drive a screen like this much faster. But it can also drive a screen using MIPI instead of using a parallel bus. And these, you can get these screens with the MIPI. The ones I've got, MIPI's disabled. The screens that have MIPI on there as well, you can select them, are more expensive. That's a little bit faster. Yeah, that's faster. Like that was 3.5-ish, and now that's it's definitely faster. It's not double the speed though. So you can see that the contention is not how fast it's writing to the screen. It's just the fact that, you know, everything's going in and out of PSRAM, which is just slow. It's a lot of data that's got to move. There you go. So the problem with using an ESP32 P4 or using an STM32 H7 or something is none of them have Wi-Fi. Like they don't have radios. So then I still have to put an external chip on for doing the radio stuff. But then that means I can't do all of the normal web server stuff that I do, because all of that stuff talks to the Wi-Fi stuff internally in the ESP32S3. But if it's an external chip, then it has to use the SDIO interface, which is slower. It's almost like using AT commands type stuff to talk to the Wi-Fi stuff. So I've not seen any solutions for things like the async web server and stuff that works via SDIO. Maybe there is. I don't know. I've not seen anything. I've not really looked. So that would really complicate things. But then that would need two MCUs on the board with two sets of flash, or whatever, and crystals and all sorts of stuff. So that would make the product a even more expensive product. So yeah. How about double buffer? Double buffer doesn't help. Double buffer will just make it twice as slow. Because the issue is the speed in which you can read and write the data. So double buffering. Yeah, I know. You mean that, Alan? I've had one sitting here for ages. I opened it, looked inside, closed it, and put it to the side. So yeah. The problem with all of these is they're not using the current and the final P4 chip. They're using an older, not current, not being released handpad chip. Catch you later, Dave. Have a good night. Have a good sleep. Oh, not that one. Open a new window. So we can't find that page, it says. Yeah, that link's not working. Anyway. This has display and a C6 on it. Yeah. And this has a C6 on it as well. Okay, I don't know what that one is. This, what do you mean it has a, this is a display. This is SQUiXL's one. It's their reference board. It's got a display and a C6, capacitive touch. I don't know what one of that yellow one is. One of the yellow boards. You got to assemble it. This has got a big, massive screen. Like this is I can't see my screen, my camera. Like this is a huge, massive screen that this connects onto. And so there's an ESP32C6, and there's the P4. So yeah, I mean that's a different board, but yeah. At the end of the day, the P4 is going to be challenging because it, you know, all the standard things that people do with an ESP32 to do with radio stuff just isn't going to work, or it's going to have to be done differently. And, you know, a lot of libraries aren't going to work with it, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's going to be interesting. But I finally got P4 samples coming. But I just, it's hard to be enthused about making something with it because, as I said, all the things that people use the ESP32 for, you know, it's a go-to for, you know, pretty much every project is Bluetooth or wireless based, almost every project. And they're the things that you can't do with this, straight up. So making a board, making products with it, just, you know, adds complexity, having to do other modules on it. Yeah, hard to get enthusiastic about it. That said, I finally got some ESP32C5 silicon samples coming. So C5 is their dual bandwidth. They're 2.4 and 5G Wi-Fi, not 5G, 5 gigahertz. The Wi-Fi 6 chip. So again, though, it's too many chips in the marketplace, too many products in the marketplace. So, and all of the C range don't have enough I/O. They're all reduced I/O compared to the S3, and they've all got other limiting things. The C5 can use PSRAM, but only internal PSRAM, so you can't hook up external PSRAM to it, and you can't get it with PSRAM and with flash, so you've got to use external flash. It's, yeah, all challenging. Okay, I think I am going to go get a coffee and then start work. Start work meaning the work things I have to do, the painful chores I have to do, not the sitting talking to you all. That's not painful or a chore. Have you seen this product software? Yeah, is that's the Pico thing, the logic analyzer-y, whatever. Yeah, I have. I saw that when it first got announced. I know it's had an update or something. It's pretty cool. You can do lots of cool stuff with the Pico chip. But again, no built-in radio. So yeah, it's really challenging. Like pretty much all the stuff I do with a microcontroller has to do with, Wi-Fi, internet, communications. So I'm always going to choose a chip that has that built in, always. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Well, no, it's got external Wi-Fi. It doesn't have Wi-Fi. I'm talking about embedded inside Wi-Fi. I'm talking about like the ESP32, right? Inside Wi-Fi. So not having to use a external communication bus to talk to them, between them. So that's what I mean. The way the Pico 2W does it is the same as a P4 and a C6 next to each other. So yeah, personally for me, I'm always looking for a chip that's got it built in. But have a nice week, everyone. I will, catch you all next week. Have fun doing whatever you do for the week. And don't forget, I got SQUIXLs back in stock. So if you haven't got one, grab one. Okay. Sorry, I'm just really distracted. Bye, everyone. Take care. Have a good week.